What is up, everybody? Welcome to DFS by the Numbers. This is my full card breakdown and prediction video for UFC Vegas 111. We have Gabriel Bonfim going against Randy Brown, and it's been a really weird week. There's been a lot of breaking news, with everything going on, from UFC Vegas 110 and all that. It's been kind of tough to focus on the fights this weekend with kind of everything going on, but it's a crazy time in the world of mixed martial arts right now with the Isaac Dalgarian situation and all that stuff. But I'm kind of thinking it's a good thing that something like this happened, because I'm sick of the shenanigans. I'm sick of fighters coming in and like Lucas Almeida fighting with a ballooned up hand. I'm sick of the Isaac Dalgarian stuff. I'm sick of referees stopping fights and then randomly restarting fights. I hate shenanigans. I don't like shenanigans, and I'm hoping the shenanigans get put to a halt after the Isaac Dalgarian situation. So it's been a very hectic week, a lot of breaking news throughout the week, and news keeps coming in, day after day. So it's been kind of tough to focus on the fights at hand this Saturday, but all the work has been put in, and we're ready to go. We're ready to break down UFC Vegas 111. Before we get into, if you guys could do me a couple of huge favors, like the video, subscribe to the channel if you have not already, and leave me a comment. If you do leave a comment, you can be featured on Comment of the Week, which we'll get into shortly. And yeah, trying to reach 30K subs by the end of the year. We are about 250 away, so if you guys do enjoy the content, please consider hitting the subscribe button. And now it is time for everybody's favorite segment, and that is going to be Comments of the Week. Let's go. We got some good comments over the last week. Can't wait to debut them here. So, got a couple good comments here. We'll start top left with Johnny Rodriguez. Shout out to Johnny Rodriguez. He says, all these creators pretending to not know the fights are all scripted has been the most comedic part of all this. The UFC tells them who to pick as they know the outcome, and they move the betting lines with these cappers. And I think this comment's very funny, because I've had a couple comments like this throughout the years saying that I actually get paid to come on here and purposely give wrong picks. And I think that's hilarious, for one, and for two, I wish I got paid. I wish I got paid to make picks. That would be awesome. But no, Johnny, that's not correct. These cappers don't get told what to pick by the UFC. It's just that's not correct, Johnny. But yeah, comment of the week, Johnny Rodriguez, shout out to you. We'll go top right. Luke's YouTube 702. Shout out to Luke's YouTube, top right corner of your screen. Comment of the week, and shout out to Luke's YouTube. He says, you sound extremely green, ignorant and naive, very boring video and nothing insightful. I appreciate that, Luke. And if you guys don't know, you can click on the username there, and I did. You can see actually past comments, and this guy Luke has commented a lot of really mean things. The last several weeks, he's commenting some very rude things, and this is one of the rude comments just a couple days ago. And the funniest thing about it was I actually clicked Luke's channel, and I kid you not. I click on Luke's channel. He has a couple videos on there, and one of the videos was him doing a glute bridge exercise. It was a 7-second video. I laughed for so hard for so long. Like, if you're gonna comment something like that, I mean, you can't be doing glute bridges. You can't be humping the air, Luke. I mean, that's ridiculous. I mean, that was one of the most hilarious things I've ever seen. So shout out to Luke. Shout out to Luke doing those glute bridges. I mean, those glute bridges, they'll get you, man. They'll get you. They're not easy to do. Humping the air is not easy to do. So shout out to Luke's YouTube. We will now go down to bottom left to NLM Bugs. NLM Bugs. He says, yeah, if Wells wins, I might have to give up MMA as a whole. Well, oh, buddy, I don't know who's going to tell you, but Wells won the fight. Themba Gorimbo stinks. And you might have to give up MMA after Wells got the job done. It was an awful fight, but he got the job done nonetheless. And then bottom right, Useless Present 49. And he says, what's your family's Dumas's fight week tradition? My family celebrates by hanging ornaments on our dog crate, and we'll enjoy a nice roast dinner come Saturday night. Happy Hood Wolf Day. Happy Hood Wolf Day to you. Happy Hood Wolf Week to all those that celebrate. Looks like SD Dumas just got a new contract, and we'll be getting to celebrate, Dumas Fight Week once again. So shout out to all for comments of the week. You guys did great. Appreciate all you guys for commenting and watching. And I can't wait to see who's on comment of the week next week for the UFC pay-per-view we got. All right. With all that out of the way, I say we get into some fight breakdowns. We're going to kick it off with Zachary Reese going against Jackson McVeigh. We got Zachary Reese minus 300, Jackson McVeigh plus 250. Zachary Reese has taken this fight on a couple days' notice. It was supposed to be Robert Valentin versus Jackson McVeigh, which I thought was going to be a very violent fight. And I think this as well is going to be a very violent fight. This is a catchweight fight. And yeah, I'm just not sold on Jackson McVeigh. I thought he looked absolutely atrocious in his debut. And I know, like, he was fighting Bruno Ferreira, but, I mean, he looked nothing like he did outside the UFC, where he's kind of coming forward with reckless abandon. He was kind of trying to, take his time in there, be technical, and he didn't throw anything. He just looked really bad, and then he got armbarred in the first round. Just a really horrible performance from Jackson McVeigh. And, Reese is a guy that you can't really trust anywhere near minus 300. I mean, this guy's chin's questionable. The cardio's questionable. At the very least, this guy's seen a second round, whereas Jackson McVeigh has not. Zachary Reese, he does have very powerful striking. He does have sneaky submission game as well. So, although I won't be laying minus 300 on Zachary Reese, I think he should be able to go out there and finish somebody like Jackson McVeigh. This is probably going to be Reese's easiest matchup to date, and he's had some pretty easy matchups thus far in the UFC. So I'm going to go Zachary Reese here. I'm going to say he wins this fight by first round submission. Up next, we got Daniel Marcos going against Miles Johns. We got Daniel Marcos minus 185, Miles Johns is plus 150. And yeah, I see this being a pretty close fight here. Daniel Marcos is a guy that has a very nice looking record. I mean, 17-1. Very nice looking record, but a couple of these performances, I'm not even sure he won some of these fights. I really thought he lost the Davey Grant fight. I truly thought Davey Grant did enough to win that fight. But Miles Johns is a guy that he's kind of tough to watch. He's not the most exciting fighter, but he's very defensively sound. He does have a wrestling background, and his cardio has been looking like suspiciously good these last couple fights. It's like Miles Johns is somebody you can always count on kind of slowing down as the fight goes on. But in his last several fights, like, his cardio's held up the entire 15 minutes. So, Johns might even have the cardio advantage in this matchup where, we've seen Marcos kind of slow down in some of these past couple fights, in the Castaneda fight, in his last fight against Montel Jackson. So, yeah, I feel like, both guys don't have the best cardio. Miles Johns has the wrestling upside if there's going to be wrestling in this fight at all. But I think it's going to be a close fight. I do favor the distance striking of Marcos. I think he has a lot of good tools on the feet, good volume, but Miles Johns probably has a little bit more power in his hands. I think this fight goes to decision, and I think this fight goes to the crooked, blind, corrupt judges, and it's going to be up to what they think. So I'm going to lean Miles Johns here in a very close fight, but I think this fight has split decision written all over it. Next, we got Denise Gomes going against Tisha Pennington. Another, pretty close fight here. I do have to favor Gomes. She's minus 180. Pennington's plus 155. I think, I got to favor Gomes. Maybe the line's a little bit too wide, but she's younger by 11 years. She's going to be the bigger fighter as well. She has a lot more power. She's going to have the eye-catching shots, being landed, and then she has, the grappling upside as well. So I think there are some reasons to like Gomes, but at the end of the day, I do think it's going to be a competitive fight. Like, Tisha Pennington I thought she was kind of older than 36 years old, but she's only 36 years old, and she's still fighting at a very, very high level. Like, she went to a very close decision against current champion Mackenzie Dern in a fight that you could have scored for Pennington there. A close fight against Tabitha Ricci. She looked really good against Carla Esparza, really good against Luana Pinheiro. So yeah, Tisha Pennington's definitely still fighting at a high level. It's just, I think Gomes, younger, hits harder, potential grappling upside. I think I slightly lean Gomes, but this kind of has another close decision written all over it, and it's going to come down what the crooked, corrupt judges think. But I think Gomes lands the bigger shots, has the bigger moments, and gets her hand raised on the scorecards. Up next, we got Josh Hokett going against Max Jimenez. We got Hokett minus 400. Jimenez is plus 300. Really weird fight here. Jimenez is a grappler. I mean, he's a grappler. You look through his Tapology, he has dozens and dozens and dozens of grappling matches, and he's won some, he's lost some, but yeah, he's primarily a grappler. There's not really much footage of this guy out there in terms of the fight tape, MMA tape. There's not much tape you could find outside of some phone footage, that's, very bad quality. It's really tough to see kind of what's going on. So, yeah, I'm not really sold on Jimenez as an MMA fighter. And how many times have we seen it? How many times have we seen a BJJ guy or a BJJ gal come in there and just look awful? Pulling guard, flopping to your back, gassing out, not able to get the fight to where they want it, and just look awful. I mean, it's happened so many times. And it's like, I'm not even convinced Jimenez is that great of a grappler is the problem. Like, I don't think he has great wrestling. I think he doesn't have any striking. It's like Josh Hokett should absolutely win this fight. And I know people don't like Hokett. This is a guy that's going to go out there and talk a lot of crap, kind of annoying type thing. But, yeah, he's good. He's a good fighter in the heavyweight division. I mean, Josh Hokett, he can wrestle. Josh Hokett has good enough cardio for the heavyweight division. Josh Hokett has solid power, and I think Josh Hokett, believe it or not, is going to win a lot of UFC fights just because he can do one thing, pretty good, and that's get fights down to the ground. So already he's probably better than 75% of the heavyweight division, if not more, just by being a good wrestler. So yeah, I mean, I got to go Hokett here. I think I'd be kind of surprised if he screwed this one up because I think Jimenez is kind of sub or bust, and I can see Jimenez like rolling for a leg or flopping to his back. And if you do that in MMA in general, a lot of times, but if you do that in the heavyweight division, if you roll for a leg in the heavyweight division, you're getting your face pounded right through the canvas. So I think it's Josh Hokett. I think it's Josh Hokett by first round TKO. Next, we got Jacqueline Cavalcanti going against Mara Bueno Silva. We got Cavalcanti minus 235. Mara Bueno Silva is plus 200. And I'm not high on Cavalcanti at all. Her fights have just been very underwhelming. She's winning these fights, but she's also going to split decisions with fighters like Josiane Nunes. She's going to split decisions with fighters like Nora Cornhole. Did those fights deserve to be split decisions? No, probably not. I thought she clearly won those fights, but the fact that they are even being scored a split decision is super concerning, right? She doesn't really separate herself that much from her opponent. She's a good striker, especially at distance. She has really good volume, really good footwork, but she hasn't really fought anybody that great. She beat Julia Avila, Nora Cornhole, Josiane Nunes, and Zara Fair. Like, those are four, quite frankly, horrible wins. If she beats Mara Bueno Silva, that's going to be the best win of her career by a mile. It's not even close. But the problem I have with Mara Bueno Silva is she's a very dangerous grappler who just refuses to wrestle. She refuses to wrestle. She has 15 fights. She's only completed at least one takedown, and I think only 2 of those fights in the UFC where she's gotten one takedown. Like, a lot of times when she's winning fights, it's because people are taking her down. Like when Morella Barella took her down, she got armbarred. When Jillian Robertson took her down, Jillian Robertson got armbarred. Like, she has a very dangerous guard, but she's not offensively wrestling. She got a takedown against Raquel Pennington. She got 3 of them. And then she got a takedown against Lena Landsberg. But outside of that, she hasn't at all. So that's concerning to me. If I knew for a fact that Mara Bueno Silva would come out here and get takedowns, get on top, use that ground game, I'd be picking her in a heartbeat, especially a plus 200. But I kind of think Mara Bueno Silva's not that smart. She's going to kind of walk forward, block punches with her face. The Jasmine Jazz DeVicious fight was just an awful look. She made Jasmine Jazz DeVicious look like an elite striker when she's not. And kind of feel like that's how this fight's going to play out. So I think Cavalcanti is going to pick apart Mara Bueno Silva at range for 15 minutes. It's going to be a very underwhelming fight. But yeah, if Mara Bueno Silva wants to win this fight, get it down to the ground. And if she does that, she can absolutely win. So I'm going to go Cavalcanti by decision. But I think Bueno Silva does have a path. I just don't trust her to take it. Next, we got Ricky Simón going against Hayani Barcelos. We got Ricky Simón minus 175. Hayani Barcelos is plus 150. And yeah, another close fight here. This one I do struggle with because we got Ricky Simón, who I thought has been kind of, done for the last several years. He went on that 3-fight losing streak, and he lost to, pretty good fighters. So it's not that, he's losing to bad fighters. It's just kind of how he looked in those fights. He looked awful against Vinicius Oliveira. He looked awful against Mario Batista, and then he looked awful against Song Yadong. But like I said, 3 really solid fighters, so we can kind of forgive him about that a little bit. And then he knocked out Javid Basharat, and then I thought he looked really bad against Cameron Smotherman. I thought he looked horrible there, but he got the win against Smotherman. So yeah, I do think, Simón's kind of slowing down a little bit. This guy's had a lot of fights in the UFC. He's been doing the thing for a long time now. He's only 33 years old, but he's taken a lot of damage, and I think that damage is kind of starting to add up because he just doesn't look like the Ricky Simón of a couple of years ago. And then you got Hayani Barcelos, who's literally a 38-year-old bantamweight. So it's like, I don't know. Both these guys are coming off of some wins. Hani Barcelos coming off of wins against, Christian Quinones. Peyton Talbot, like that win's going to age incredibly. And then also a win against Cody Garbrandt. Ricky Simón coming off of a couple wins as well. I don't know. It's a tough fight to call. Ricky Simón, I guess, in theory, has some wrestling upside, but I don't think he's going to be able to take down and hold down Hani Barcelos, and vice versa. I don't think Barcelos is going to be able to take down and hold down Simón. So I kind of think this fight's going to take place on the feet, and I think Barcelos does have maybe the better striking. Both guys have some power. Both guys have questionable chins. I think it's a close fight. So I'm going to lean with the 38-year-old and Hani Barcelos to win this fight by decision, but this is one that's definitely sketching me out a little bit. Up next, we have Haider Emil going against Jamal Emmers. Cannot wait for this fight. Anytime Haider Emil fights, I look forward to it. This guy is an absolute animal. He's minus 135. Jamal Emmers is plus 115. This line actually flipped. Haider Emil opened up as the dog at plus 160, which is crazy. And now he's minus 135. And Jamal Emmers opened up at minus 185, and he's now plus 115. So money coming in on Haider Emil. And I agree with it. I wish I would have got in on Haider Emil at plus money. But yeah, Haider Emil, this guy's 35 years old. This guy's pulling up with the double knee sleeves. But if anybody can pull it off, it's Haider Emil. I mean, this guy's an animal. Doesn't even feel like he's 35 years old either, just because he's so young in terms of his career. Only 12 fights for Haider Emil. And he's coming off of a knockout loss against Jose Delgado in his last fight. I think there's no shame in that. But, we know what Haider Emil is going to do. He's going to come forward like a madman. He's going to get in your face. He's going to pressure you, and he's not going to stop. He's not going to stop until he's either knocked out or you're knocked out. I think somebody's getting served in this matchup. Jamal Emmers has been served many times. I mean, Jamal Emmers has 8 losses. A lot of those losses coming inside the distance. Jamal Emmers has been knocked out 3 times. Jamal Emmers has been submitted a couple times as well. So I think Haider Emil is going to have opportunities, but I also think that Jamal Emmers is going to have opportunities, especially early in this fight, to catch Haider Emil. I think it's Jamal Emmers winning this fight by early knockout. And if he's not able to do so, I think the pressure, the pace, the cardio, the aggressiveness is really going to get to Emmers here. And I think Emil's going to touch the chin of Emmers, who is getting up there in age himself. 36 years old at featherweight for Jamal Emmers. Almost 30 fights for the guy at this point. So I like Emil here. I'm going to take Emil to win this fight by second round knockout, but I think this fight is going to be extremely fun and exciting. And I think somebody's getting served here. Give me Emil KO2. Next up, we got Marco Tulio Silva going against Christian Leroy Duncan. Another line that has moved quite a bit. I mean, Tulio opened up at plus 120. He's now minus 175. Christian Leroy Duncan opened up minus 140. He's currently plus 150. Again, I wish I would have got in on the plus money of Tulio, but yeah, I lean the Tulio side here. It's a fight that, I don't know, I'm kind of getting weird vibes on. Like, Tulio looks incredible on the feet. I mean, this guy can go out there and put up 100 plus significant strikes, no problem. Very flashy striker, shoot to box type style, willing to eat one to give one. But that's kind of the problem. That's kind of the worry here in this matchup, is he does eat one to give one. He is pretty hittable. He has been knocked out in his only loss, and Christian Duncan, does have some power. He does have some power. He does have some flashy spinning attacks in his own right, and I could see Duncan maybe landing something here and knocking out Tulio. But if not, you've got to favor the minute winning of Tulio just by doing more. I think he's a lot more aggressive. I think he's a lot more active with the striking. I think Tulio has all the wrestling upside, all the grappling upside, and that's actually something I think he might resort to in this matchup. So I kind of think Duncan's KO or bust, and like I said, it could happen, but if it doesn't happen, I think Tulio should win this fight quite comfortably on the scorecards in this one. So give me Tulio by decision, and what should be another pretty fun fight. Next, we got Ismael Bonfim going against Chris Padilla. Yeah, tough fight to call here. Bonfim minus 205. Chris Padilla is plus 175. And it's one of those fights where I think the more skilled fighter is Bonfim. I think this guy's actually very skilled. He's improved his takedown defense over the years. He's improved his grappling over the years. Still have some question marks about it, but he's clearly working on that. And the boxing's very good. The volume's very good. He's a very good fighter, very good striker, Ismael Bonfim. But I do worry about the toughness, the heart, and the durability. This is a guy in Bonfim who's been finished in all 5 of his losses, and that's a big concern. On the flip side, you have Padilla, who's just a dog. I mean, Padilla's got that dog in him. He's a lot more durable, has a lot more heart. He's not going to quit. He's not going to look for a way out. But, he doesn't really wrestle as much as he should. Like, if I can count on Chris Padilla to wrestle here, implement some takedowns, get the fight down to the ground and maybe look for a submission, I'd be more inclined to go with him. But Padilla's one of these guys that just kind of wants to stand and strike with you in a lot of these fights. And if that's the case, I do favor the striking of Bonfim. Not saying he should be like minus 205, but I kind of think Bonfim just does the better work over the course of 15 minutes. I thought the Jai Herbert fight for Padilla was a really bad. I mean, that fight was awful. A lot of it had to do with Jai Herbert not really fighting at all, but I mean, still, I just didn't like what I saw from Chris Padilla there. So I'm going to go Bonfim here to win a decision. I don't think he's finishing Padilla. I think Bonfim wins it by. I think if there's a finish, it's actually from the Padilla side, but I'm going to go Bonfim by decision. Next, we have Uros Medic going against Muslim Salikov. We got Uros Medic minus 155, Muslim Salikov plus 135. And I have two hot takes on this card, and this is going to be the first one. You can, as somebody who predicts fights and goes on YouTube and talks fights and predicts fights, you can pick the fighter, you can pick the winning method, the round, all that. Well, I'm going to pick the exact knockout for this fight, and I think it's a spinning old kick for Muslim Salikov. He's landed the first spinning old kick in UFC history, and he's done it many times. Like, this guy has a ton of spinning old kick knockouts. He landed that spinning old kick against, was it Song Kanan? Beautiful spinning old kick. Landed some spinning old kicks against Andre Fiallo. He landed some spinning old kicks and some other fights as well. Like, this guy has completely just gotten that spinning old kick down, and it's a very big weapon. And he pulled off a big upset in his last fight against Carlos Leal, who had never been finished. Carlos Leal, I don't think I've ever seen Carlos Leal hurt, and Salikov just sparked him, man. So, yes, this guy's 41 years old, and I think that's a lie. I think he's even older than 41. I think he can actually double that. I think this guy's in his 80s, but he's one of those guys that just, he's going to fight. He's going to fight forever. I truly feel like Salikov's going to fight forever. This guy's a 90-year-old man still going out there and getting knockouts. And on the Medic side, you have a guy that's very chinny. I mean, Medic is very, very chinny. Getting dropped by Matthew Semmelsberger, that's not the end of the world. Getting hurt really bad by Jalen Turner in the first round, that's not the end of the world. Getting knocked out by Punahele Soriano, that's not good. That's really not good at all, but that's not the end of the world. But getting knocked down by Gilbert Urbina, that is the end of the world. I mean, you don't get knocked down by Gilbert Urbina. That just doesn't happen. So I really worry about the durability of Medic. I truly worry about it, and I think Muslim Salikov is not live to not only knock out Medic, but knock him out with that patented spinning old kick to the head. So I'm going to go Salikov here. Salikov, spinning old kick, first round knockout. I think somebody's probably getting knocked out here early. Both guys, I think their durability is in question, and both guys hit hard. I think, there's a reason the under 1.5 is getting steamed. But yeah, give me Salikov for the upset. Next, we have the co-main event here. We got Joseph Morales going against Matt Schnell. We got Joseph Morales minus 455. Matt Schnell is plus 355. And this is my other hot take for the week. I'm not only picking Joseph Morales. I'm not only picking Joseph Morales by submission. I'm picking Joseph Morales to win this fight by double tap. I think he's going to double tap Matt Schnell. Matt Schnell has double tapped in the past couple in his past couple submission losses. He double tapped against Cody Durden on that. They called it a guillotine choke. He double tapped on the Brandon Royval guillotine choke, and he's going to double tap this Saturday. And yeah, I'm actually surprised that Matt Schnell is still going. I mean, this guy's 35 years old. He's been finished 8 times, which that's a lot, especially for a flyweight. Like, even Malcolm Gordon had not been finished 8 times in his career. Like, Malcolm Gordon's been finished like 5 or 6. So for you to be getting finished 8 times in the flyweight division is quite concerning. I've always been really worried about the chin of Matt Schnell, not only recently, but for years. I mean, all the way back to that Hector Sandoval fight. That was back in 2017, where he got TKO'd with some of the softest ground and pound I've ever seen in my entire life. That right then and there, that's when I started to worry about the chin of Matt Schnell 8 years ago at this point. And since then, he's been knocked out by Steve Erceg. He's been knocked out by Mateus Nicolau. He's been knocked out by Alexander Pantoja. He's been getting dropped in a lot of these fights as well and hurt. I mean, the Sumadarji fight, potentially could have been stopped with how many times this guy was wobbling all over the place. So, yeah, I think Matt Schnell doesn't have a chin, and I think Matt Schnell if he gets a submission attempted on him, he's not only going to tap, but he's going to double tap, and that's exactly what Joseph Morales is going to do. I think Morales is going to hurt Schnell on the feet, but wouldn't shock me if Morales knocked him out. But I do think Morales should have no problem getting takedowns here against Matt Schnell, who has a sub 50% takedown defense. And then at some point, I think he's going to lock something up. So I'm going to take Morales to win this fight. I'm going to win this fight by submission via double tap. Then we get the main event. We got Gabriel Bonfim going against Randy Brown. We got Bonfim minus 180, Randy Brown plus 155. And yeah, I see this being Bonfim early or Brown late. I think Bonfim's going to have a good opportunity to find that finish early, maybe touch the chin of Randy Brown, potential club and sub, and even wrestling Randy Brown, taking him down, getting to his back and choking him out. But if this fight does reach the third round, I think it is going to favor somebody like Randy Brown. So I think it's a solid live bet spot potentially for Randy Brown, but I'm kind of leaning Bonfim here. We've seen Brown hurt in a few fights. We've seen him taken down in a few fights. I mean, that Jack Della Maddalena fight, he got club and subbed. I mean, I could see something like that happening here. I mean, Bonfim, especially early, is very dangerous. He has that power. He has a very opportunistic submission game, and Brown's been submitted before. He's been knocked out before. So I feel like there's going to be a lot of opportunity for Bonfim to get that early finish. If he gets it, he gets it. If he doesn't, I do expect Brown to kind of take over down the stretch. But I'll say Bonfim gets it early and wins this fight by first round submission. There you guys have it. Thank you for watching. If you guys could, on your way out, like the video, subscribe to the channel, leave me a comment, and best of luck for UFC Vegas 111. We'll see you soon.